Welcome to this session. We are gonna dive today in budgeting. We are gonna do the basic core budgeting today, and then in the next sessions, we are gonna talk about savings, debts, and enjoyment, which is another category that is very important to keep in mind. I'm gonna now share my screen so we can start. And so remember that for when we are gonna work in budgeting, which is from last session until almost the last one, we will be working many times on things that are related with the budget. So it's important that you start deciding if you wanna work it in digital version or if you want to just bring papers and do it manually. How did you decide that you want to work, Erling?
I was doing it on paper.
On paper. Okay, nice. So that's the idea that whatever makes you feel more comfortable is the choice that you make because not everyone is very digital. So it's important that we can relate with money without those type of limitations. So, budget basically has like basic four sessions. The purpose of this slide is not that we can read the things, it's just that we can see the structure. So, in the previous session, we talked about the income, which is gonna be where we calculate what is the available income that we can take into account. But on the other hand, we have the expenses. And then is when we have to start playing on what is under our income or not, or how we can optimize our budget so that we are not overspending or that we can be really mindful of how we are using money. So today we are gonna start talking about the where we put our money. Like we already talked about the income, now is okay, with this available income, where we start putting the things. And it has basically four aspects. One is the needs, like we are gonna see there the housing, the health, transportation, personal expenses, care for loved ones, work, education, and other additional expenses like the general daily life and future coming needs. And then if we have debts, we are gonna work on the debts. And then if we have savings, we are gonna, if we know, if like for sure we wanna have savings, so we will talk about that. And then the joy part, like how we also put money to enjoy. So the focus today is that we are gonna work on this first part of the budget. So it's gonna be very practical way today, very hands-on. Um, but I just wanted to tell that there are two ways that I have identified of how to do a budgeting. Um, so one is that we calculate things, we organize our money through the budget. I am gonna guide through a lot of categories that I have identified that are the most important to take into account, and that is very comprehensive. It touches different areas, different type of payments, different type of commitments that we have, and that sometimes when we are just brainstorming what we pay, maybe we don't remember those things. So I have worked on really identify a very comprehensive budgeting process, and the idea is that when we do this kind of game, to say it in some fun way, that where we decide, okay, this is what I have to pay, this is what I can actually adjust or not, and then we take that as a baseline, and then we try to stick to that with the strategies that I am gonna show later. But there is another approach where people estimate these things in a similar way, but then they make a very detailed recording of everything they pay for, and like they match if what they budget is what they what they used and per category and which is the leftover per category and things like that, which I don't think that is very sustainable for a lot of people. What I have seen is that we need things that are more pragmatic, that we pay attention to what is really important to pay attention. And so that's the focus that we are gonna have. We are gonna do the budgeting, the optimization, all this part, and then we are gonna identify what we need to pay attention to, and then we are gonna think of what strategies can help us to pay attention to those things instead of um, using more energy on things that we don't really need to track or be careful with. But I just wanted to highlight because maybe in the road you think you discover these other ways. So if you have that personality and you like it, that's also an option. It's basically taking what we are gonna work here and then basically expand it to be super detailed in the way that you record things. And that would be the extra thing if you like that approach. But that really doesn't add anything important beyond having the registrations very clean and very organized and things like that, but it's not really necessary. But in the end, the best system for organizing your money is the system that works for you and that is sustainable for you. So that's why I really pay attention on, I always wonder, like when I get a new habit or a new tip, not only with money, but in any area of our lives, like, am I gonna do this until I die? Like, is this really sustainable for me? And or how I can make it sustainable? Like, for sure, I have to pay attention to my money and I have to take care of my money, but like, how is really sustainable in the long term? So I have reached to this methodology that is really working for me and for the people that I have worked with. And so I hope it works for you or that it gives you like the basic baseline sustainable um, approach so that maybe you can add or trim whatever make it sustainable for you. Okay? So one aspect that is also important is how often are we gonna do these calculations, right? Because one thing is how I am following or tracking monthly if I need to track something. For instance, if I budget the rent, I pay the rent. I don't need to really track that, right? I just need to remember to pay the rent, but I don't need to really track that. But for instance, if I budget something for groceries and maybe I am not sure if that's what I am actually spending, maybe I need to track my grocery shopping for some time until I actually realize how much is it and I can adjust the budget. So, or maybe we cannot make automatic payments, so we need to remember to pay certain things. You know, there are certain things that we need to do or take care monthly, but the calculation of the budget itself we don't need to do that every month because we only need to do it every time that our life changes. For instance, if I change a job, then my income changes, probably, right? So in that case, I would need to check again if everything makes sense. Or if I move to another place to live, then my rent changes. For instance, I just moved from a house, so I also changed utilities. So, or maybe, like when there are life context changes, then we need to come and recalculate things. But if we are in a very stable life, it's advisable that we check every 6 months our budget to see that everything is in the same way that we plan it, that the things still make sense, that it reflects my life. Um, for instance, if some people are entering in a new gym and they don't put that in the budget, then the budget would be outdated. But that was a change in the life context. And so if the person remembered this, the person would have come to update the budget. But if the person didn't remember, then the semi-annual check would help to make sure that the budget actually reflects their life, right? Everything clear until now?
Yes.
Awesome. Um, so yeah, we are gonna basically remember that we need to take care of what we need to remember monthly from our budget and then make sure that our budget is updated or at least double checking every 6 months that it is on track. So for all these things that I just said, I advise that we create tasks or events or something or reminders, something that remind us. That's why time management is also an important piece of our life. Mm, we all should have like a way to remember things that our brain probably won't remember, right? So check my budget every 6 months. Probably the brain cannot remember that. So how can we remember that? So for instance, I use Google Tasks, and that I can just create the task and then set it to repeat every 6 months. I know that there are different apps, but that's the way that I do. Or maybe you have like a notebook where you have your common tasks, and then you can just open that page every month and double check if you need to do something that month, or like find your own strategy so that you can remember um, to do these double checks and to do and for whatever you need to remember monthly payments, savings. Well, we will discover through the process, but start thinking how it would work for you. For instance, for you, how it works. For me, it's Google Tasks and other apps. For you, how you remember it.
I've been, I'm old, so I've just been doing paper and just keeping track that way.
Mm-hmm. So in the case of the paper, what I feel that can work is that you have a specific page of things that are every 6 months or things that are every month. So maybe in the beginning of the month, you can just check those things and see what you need to do that month, right? And then you can organize yourself. I think if I
Mhm.
were gonna work on paper, I would do it that way, if that helps.
Yeah, mine has been so regular because I have the same bills pretty much that occur, monthly, your light, your gas and all that. So I know when they're due, and um I still get like the paper bills coming through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I'm able to keep track because I know that it's coming. So
Uh-huh.
I'm just prepared
And for
for
the
it.
budgeting, like how do you remember to double check your budget
hmm Well, I
every
know what
six
I
months?
get, and so nothing
Mm-hmm.
has really changed a whole lot outside of,
Mm-hmm.
you get raises and things like that, but I know where the increases are. So I have a set budget that I just operate from. It's like clockwork. That makes sense.
Yeah, you have already like
Yeah, it's pretty
you feel that you
routine.
don't need extra
hmm
reminders.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no.
And I think that you have your brain
Yeah, my
used
brain
to
definitely is
remember things.
programmed.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's another approach. So yeah, for anyone that is listening this, just find your way. That's what I mean when I say like the best system is the one that works for you. You know? Okay, so hands on. So I am gonna use the digital version of the budget to guide us. But what we are gonna do in our papers, and I'm gonna actually do it in paper with you as well, um, is to go to the digital version and then check the things. So as Irma, who is here in the live session, you have your budget for what I understand, right?
Yes.
So as you have it, what we are gonna do is that we are gonna go through the categories to talk about them, to brainstorm if there is something missing. But for the people who is seeing this recorded, I'm gonna ask you for each category to pause the video, type your numbers. If you're doing it in the digital version, do it in your copy. If you're doing in the paper, you do it in your paper, right? So that's the only important dynamic detail. We are gonna do monthly because, as I said in the last session, normally the important expenses in our lives tend to be monthly. And remember to use a special color for things that we need to put in savings. So this means, for instance, when we have to pay, for instance, the car insurance, that in my case we pay every 6 months, what we are doing is that we split that value in six, and then we have the monthly value that we should be saving for the moment that this expense is coming. And then we have the savings in something that I call expected needs. Um, and then we have the money is there, we save it monthly, is a need, is something that is planning, that we can plan for it. And then we can pay. One very common mistake that people do when budgeting is that they only think of monthly payments, things that you pay every month. And then when they have these expenses that are every 6 months or every year, like my glasses or things like that, they don't have the money. And then they have to run into extra payments and stuff like that, look where to take the money, all these things. Probably use the emergency fund if they have it. And that's not very healthy. The most healthy way to manage this is to plan for those expenses because they are expected and we can plan them. So if at some point you get an expense that you realize that you could have planned, so go to the budget, plan for it, make the strategy, remember to save that money. And we are going to talk about the strategies for the savings, where to put it, all of this in the savings session. But for now, what is the most important thing is put it in another color because these are the money that we need to identify quickly. And oh, this is the money that I need to save. I do it because, for instance, my income is variable. So there are some things that are percentage of my income that I need to save, and there are others that are fixed. So every month, I just go to a budget, I see what is in this special color, and I know that's the money that I need to move to my savings. And that works very great for me. So I really suggest this special color to be able to do these things quickly and also to find your own way to do this process in the best way for you. Okay. And then in the budget, I'm gonna show you in a bit, but you're gonna see that there is a link where I put some resources that you can use to optimize your budget. So let's go there, right? Um, so I already have it open here. And so this is the same format or template that I showed in the last session. Last session, we were working on this income part. But today we are gonna go to this second page, which is the budget. If you are working in paper, you don't need to be concerned about this because you are seeing this in this recording. So if you need the categories, you just can come to this recording, and that is fine. If it's the first time that you are seeing this template, remember, just go to File, make a copy, and then you create your own name for your copy. You do make a copy, and then you have your own uh, template where you can change colors, delete what you want to delete, whatever you want to do with that, you can do it if you're working in this digital. But if you're working in paper, as I said, you just need to be checking this recording, and that's it. This is the link that I was talking about, the resources. So you have it here in the budget, but you also have it in the presentation. Remember that in each recording, I am putting the link of the presentations, so you have it there. And when you open this document, you will see that there are free resources or the optimizers that you can use to. Are you seeing me well? Okay, it happened, but yeah. Hello.
I did a
Okay.
thumbs up.
Yeah, I just see my video frozen, but I think it's fine now. Okay. So in this yeah, something happened with the internet. Just a second. Okay. So when you get in this um, link, you will see this document, and here I organized everything by topics. So this is a guide that is accompanied is with the Empowering Budget template, but it's independent. The idea is that you can identify things that can help you optimize the way that you're using your money. Um, so the first is the relationship with money, of course, and the organization. So um, here are things about the coaching itself. Here, for instance, is the link for this training that we are doing through Strengthening Rural Families. You can also ask for coaching one-on-one through Stand By Me Oregon. It's a program that we belong to. And you can text Alicia Luke, the coordinator right now, or whoever is coordinating the program when you see this video. Um, and there are other resources about getting trained and getting better in the relationship with money, the strategies, the work that you need to do. Maybe you need support doing your own budget, and we coaches, we can help you with that. So that's that part. Then there is a part that is emergencies or vulnerability. So we have identified some navigators that can help you in those moments. I'm gonna actually, I don't know if for now it's in general resources, but maybe I just combine these two, um, which is for taxes assistance. We talked about this in the previous session, but like here are links and things like that. Immigration assistance, legal assistance, platforms where you can find several resources, um, organizations where you can find several resources, a suggestion that you also ask with people in your community in case that you can identify more things, ways to increase income, links and special tips about job search, about different incomes, about programs, about support, and even for people who maybe want to start a business. Of course, the IDA accounts, which is these savings programs that span savings, high yield accounts. Well, we are gonna be seeing these things in the savings part, these two especially. But there are the links in case you need other special links there too. And today we are gonna be working on these monthly needs, and here are resources to related to housing, to food, to health, to care, to transportation. So as you can start seeing, this document really reflects the budget as we have been talking. And the idea is that it can support you in what you may need. Also things about debt, savings, and fund. Sorry, I didn't translate this. So um, all these, the idea is to support you, but is the things that I have been able to identify. So if at some point you see that there is something missing, an important resource or something that you would like me to add, please just put it in a comment. People can comment. It's shared to be able to comment, so you can just choose where you feel that it should be. You add a comment and you type the resource and I can double check and add it, okay? And please share this with whoever you need, whoever you want. I'm gonna send it in the email and I'm gonna also leave it in the comments of in the description of the video, but I wanted just to show you, okay? And the budget, so if you're working in paper, I'm gonna ask you to put the titles. So you're gonna put needs, value, and then we have these three little things. Um, so we are gonna make a mark if we can auto pay or automatize the way that we can handle in the case of savings, if we can automatize the process or if we have to do it manually, right? If we need to take care of that category or not, if we can optimize that or not, which is gonna be a very good way to double think. If we can find more better ways to use the money. And if you want, you can also put what would be your ideal to spend in case that you have to keep expenses right now, but maybe you want to keep in mind that you would like to be able to do that. So for instance, in my case, I would like to have a cat, but I haven't been able to organize myself for the insurance and all the things that a pet requires, care, all these things. So one part is because of time and logistics, and the other is a bit for money. So, for instance, I would put that in my personal ideal, but I wouldn't count that in the budget yet. So, if you want to estimate things that are coming in your life, you can put them there. And here is a space for comments. You're gonna see in this process that I have some comments in this kind of orange-ish color. Those are just tips or quick reminders. There are also some notes, but we are going to be talking about these things. They are just supportive. You don't really need it, especially if you're working in paper. Like this, what you're seeing is enough. So let's start. So if you're seeing this recorded, just pause it, and then you put needs, value, automation, care, optimization, and personal ideal. Those are your titles, okay? And then we start with the housing part. So we are gonna put how much is the rent or the mortgage. Uh, Remember that it's important that in the case of the mortgage that it doesn't go over 30% of your available income. Of course, if it's more, it's more. Don't feel bad about it. It's just guidance. Remember, every time that I talk about percentages, they are just guidance. So we put there our mortgage, and then we calculate home costs. So if we pay administration, we put it there. If we have to pay for taxes or legal things for the house, if it's applicable for us, we take it there. Remember, I know probably it's annual or things like that. So you can divide that. in 12 in the case that is annual, and just put the monthly thing that you need to be saving for that. Maintenance. So in this case, for instance, you will see the suggestion is that is the percentage of the home's value, and it's also according to how old the house is. So this is basically for people who own the house where they live. And then you basically follow the rule, like you calculate how much is the house value, you check how old is the house. And so let's say that my house is 15 years old. So in this case, I should be saving monthly for maintenance 0.8% of the house. And so I calculate that, and that's my value. Evelyn, if you need me to pause in some part or something, just let me know, okay? Because I'm just going as we said.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so and then we have the category of the home and accident liability insurance. So this, if we are renters, it would be the renters insurance. If we are owners, it should be the owners insurance. Um, and other things that maybe I am not considering, but they are also home costs. Then we go to utilities, actually. I think it's better that name. So again, I always tell you there is always something that can be improved or that works better for you, or so just feel free to use the names that you remember better, the colors, everything. So utilities. So we put what we need to do in power, we need what we need in gas, if applicable, water, garbage services, internet, gardening, cell phone, and other. The quick tip here is if you don't know the value, you can Google it. Like how much, for instance, if I live in Corvallis, like how much maximum an apartment of two people, in my case, pay for water, if applicable. Um, and then I will have to see if in my house I have to pay 50% or if we are splitting by income or how, and then calculate my specific percentage of the value. My suggestion with this part of the utilities is to put the maximum that you will be probably paying, because the way that I see it is that is better to put. So sorry, I was trying to put this, but I'm gonna do it later. So my suggestion in the utilities part is when we are budgeting the utilities, we need to calculate what is the maximum that we are gonna be paying monthly. Because it's better that we have leftovers of money than if we take an average, for instance, and then 1 month is more than what we have budgeted. So I really prefer to work with the maximum that you would be paying, and then everything else is winning. Um, and then yeah, I think that's the key takeaway. And if you don't, you need to estimate because you're moving to a different place or something, just Google like how much, and then 3 months later you can double check with your real bills, especially for instance in the power, checking the winter time because it's when we use the heaters and things like that. Compare with summer and then see which is the maximum and then use that would be better. Then we check how much monthly we are spending in vital groceries. This means food, vitamins, cleaning. But if we, I don't know, if we like to spend a lot in candies, that's not really, that's more fun budget um, than monthly needs. So be very mindful of this differentiation between what is a need and what is a fun. Even if it's the same visit to a store, maybe one part comes from a joy income or budget and not from the needs. Um, if you like, I think this is a good thing. check how much you would be feeling good to save monthly for items renewals, like if your liquor that get damaged, or if like especially renters, we probably only need to take care of, I don't know, the sofa or things like that. So just think how much yearly you normally spend on these things, or how much you would like to be able to spend, and then divide it in 12 and start saving that. If you reach your goal, um, just keep the money there until you spend it, but don't keep adding anything else. Um, as you can see, there are things that are like monthly savings in general, and there are other things that have specific goals. Of course, if at some point, I don't know, you are saving for home maintenance, but you are the owner, but you really feel that, or you Google and you reach the maximum that should be saved for maintenance. We are going to talk about these saving goals later in the savings sessions. But for now, what I want you to keep in mind is you need to set your targets and then be saving for these coming needs, and then save these things until you stop. If you're doing a good calculation, then in reality it just gets renewed, because probably you need the money and then you keep saving and like it really flows. So um, it's a bit as a game, but the point is double check what are the needs that are coming and check it out. So I think we already talked about the taxes and the administration. So for instance, this is a part that I should delete from this because it's double. So I forgot for some reason, but this is a good exercise to show the people who is working in the digital version how you can delete things if you want. So for instance, I choose from like this whole area until this part. This is only for people who is working digital, and you say delete cells and then shift up. When I do that, it doesn't affect the other side. It just move up this thing. Okay, this was something weird, so probably we need to fix that. So we do the same here below because it got damaged. Then we do delete cells, shift up, and then um, the the rest of the format is fine, so we can just delete those rows. And that's like the way that you kind of fix the format. And quick tip for the people in the digital version. So now you have the whole thing. You have the rent, right? You have the home costs that we already talked, which is the sum of all these components. Then we have the utilities part, including the cell phone. Then we have the groceries, and then we have the home items, and then other categories if you think of anything else. Then you add all of that, and you have how much is your home expense. Sounds good? Health. So in the health, we are gonna take account of health insurance. Normally suggested that is like 5 to 10% of the available income. But just be mindful, like if this part is already deducted in in your income or not. Like you have to double check those things. But just take into account the three basic ones: medical, dental, vision. Also take into account medicines. If you take something regular, take it into account. Medical equipment. Here is where my glasses budget goes, for instance, and I save it for every year. Then the physical health, if you go to a gym, or if you have, for instance, right now I have physical therapy, so I put that budget there because it's like twice monthly or things like that. So think what is regarding your physical health. Then mental emotional health, if you are going to therapy or mentoring or something, or self-growth trainings or things like that, probably you want to put it there. If they are related to mental and emotional health. If they are just general self-growth, they go in education, as we will see later. Uh, then Then we have the energetic or spiritual health. So if you like to go to retreats, ceremonies, rituals, things like that, maybe you want to put there some budget if that's an option for you in your income and your lifestyle, right? And then any other thing of health that maybe I didn't mention. Then we talk about transportation. So we are gonna double check if we need to set budget for public transportation or for car insurance. As I said, for instance, saving monthly for the car insurance. If you pay parkings like regularly or tolls or things like that, how much is gonna be your budget for gas, uh, realistically. And then remember here we are talking about normal life. If there is for trips or things like that, it would come from enjoyment budget. But here is more like the day-to-day life. Then for cars maintenance, it works the same way as for the house. So you check the value of your car, how old is it, and then the percentage that is here is the suggestion. So, for instance, if my car is 3 years old, then I will have to save 0.5% of that value. And then other, you can double check these things. I just, as I said in the beginning of the training, I came to all these things through research and to study, but if you feel that there is something better or you realize that is something better the way to calculate, you can do so. Just if you have a car, just save for the maintenance. If you have a house, save for the maintenance and all these things. Personal expenses. So if you need to put budget for haircut, hairstyle, if you need services for manicure, things like that, for hair removal, even if you do it by yourself, maybe you need something or not, maybe not. The outfit. So this is something that we will have to renew every now and then. So just double think if like how much per year you think that you would need for this, divided by 12, save for that money so that when you need to renew something, you can have the money for outfits, or do percentage of income monthly savings for that. So the suggestion is like 2% of your available income, maximum 5%. Um, or things, or the way that you feel. Feminine products, there are, if you, I don't know, I feel that like this is a thing that I still debate on my head, but it's still true, and it's like women, I feel that or females in general, women, identified people, we are kind of expected to use some certain things that other genders maybe not. Or and so we have to either deal with not doing that, which is like a mental cost probably in the transition, or we do those things and we relate in a better way with these things, which is also a nice way to live it, but then it's still an extra thing. A basic example, for instance, earrings. Like that's something I like to use. Probably is very uh, women focused, but that's something that is an extra thing in my budget. So that would be something to put there, for instance, if I feel good with that. So the point is with these kind of tricky expenses, let's go to the bottom of how we are relating with that, how we feel with that, what approach we want to have so that it is not just this thing that is imposed on us, but like at the end it's a choice in a way, in the process, in the context, and we can actually budget for those things peacefully. Then laundry, dry cleaning stuff. If you need those type of services, you can put there. If you feel that there is another personal expense, you can use this other category for that. Uh, and then for loved ones care, so if you are paying for nursing or for childcare or others, it would be there. And then if you have pets, there is a special place for them here where you can take into account the food, the insurance, the care. Um, and then for work, if you need to buy things in your job or for food or around your work area in times, you can put it there. If you have any other expense related to work, you can put it there. In education, if you have to pay tuition, for instance, like you can start saving for those things. You can either work about it in the savings area or you can work it here depending on how it's better for you. Um, but that's the way that you will have to choose, depending also in how much is that and how much it represents, and if you see it, if you can handle it as a need or if you really need to put it as a saving for specific goals that we will see in detail later. Then meals, snacks, uh, self-growth. This is a category that is important, like books, trainings. For instance, if this training was paid, probably this payment would come from your self-growth budget. So the idea is that we save like 1 to 3% of our income to self-growth. And so because that's not gonna end until we die. So the idea is that we actually keep improving as a person, as a professional, and but especially internally as a human being. And other things about education that you probably may need. And then additional expenses that maybe you have, management fees, storage unit, other insurances. Gear and tech is a very important category to take into account. So the idea is that these help you with paying apps that you really need or getting a new phone when they get damaged or things like that. So it's suggested that we save between 2 to 5% of our available income for these things, depending on your goals, what you feel that is good for you to have saved yearly, and then you have that for those things. Then any other additional expenses that you can come to mind, and then cushion. So we should calculate like 2 to 3% of our available income as a cushioning for random things during the month. So for every one of these categories, we should have identified in the process of the budgeting, like if I can automatize it, if I need to take care of it, like if it's a risk that I get beyond or that I really need to calculate these things, or how, if I can optimize it. And once you have all these identified, you will add all of them, and then you will have your value. So um, let's say that this person realized that in total spends like 1,500 in all these needs, and then you are gonna calculate how much is that um, compared to your income. So let's say that this person earns $3,000 as available income, as we saw last time. So we would be saying that this person is using in these needs 50% of the income, and that is in the suggested health finances. So it's suggested that we use maximum 60% between debts and needs. so it would be on track. But if, for instance, this person would be earning 2,000, then the person is like using 75% of the available income in basic needs. So this person should wonder if there are things that can be optimized. So, for instance, if I am paying a gym, maybe I can find a cheaper gym, or that doesn't lose the quality of my training, but maybe that, or doing at home as I do. Or maybe we can, instead of like, for instance, it happened to me, like instead of registering to new self-growth trainings, I had some pending to check, or some books that I needed to still put into practice or things like that. So I stopped that for a while. I put that amount here in the ideal personally, but I stopped it for a while, and then I used what I already had, and then it helped decrease what I was spending. So let's say that after the person checked it carefully, could get to 1,300 dollars. And then if we check how much is that um, compared to the budget, so divided into the budget, I put an extra zero. We will have that the person is still a bit above, but not that much as before. So that's why I say that is not to be feeling bad about how our percentage are working or anything like that, but it's an ideal. It's like a guidance, because whatever we have left is what we will have for the other categories that we are going to see in the future. So um, that's like the basic budgeting. How do you feel it was clear? You have a question?
I don't have any questions.
Anything new that you saw in the whole thing, or not?
I think I'm gonna use the digital version just as we going through the class. I've got so much going. I haven't really sat down to get into it, so that's why I'm doing paper. But eventually, I will use that. I like how it's structured and how it makes it easy and more organized looking. So I appreciate that.
Nice. I did it. So it's nice to hear that. It's the 7 version of it. So it has really grown in these 4 years that I have worked, and put it into practice and everything. Um, so please note that something that happened with a lot of people is that they start the processes saying that they don't have money to save and that they don't have savings or things like that. And if other people have, but please notice that in any case, at this point of the training, you already have at least 1 or 2 savings. One that is for taxes or other deductibles that we needed to take before we started spending in our purposes. That's depends on how you work with your income and how the deductions work in your income. But the one that for sure everyone is gonna have at this point is the coming needs, because we all need some, at least clothes budget. So please realize that we all have at least the coming needs, and then when we see the savings part, we also will have at least the emergency fund part, or the unexpected needs. That's the way that I like to differentiate, that there are expected needs or coming needs, and there are unexpected needs or emergency fund. Um, so at this point, we are already at least have the expected coming needs. So this exercise is what we just did in the example. So how much are all these monthly expenses and my divided in my true available income, and then we can make decisions about that. So at this point is like create events or tasks or the paper with the reminders for checking monthly or the way that works better for you, or if you remember, I admire your brain. But for things that you cannot auto save or you cannot auto pay, for monthly payments and for the savings that are these monthly savings. And also, there is this important thing, and it's like, for instance, if we are working, if we are putting our savings for coming needs, then we also need to remember to remove that from wherever we are tracking the savings. So, in this case, every month, in the case that we are working in this template, we will dive into this better in the savings session, but so when we move the savings, for instance, for coming needs, we are gonna put it in a savings account, right? So unless you can really split there in pockets or something like that, you will have a lot of savings merged in one account. So the page here that is called balances is where you are gonna put the specific money that you're saving for something. So the reminder that is important here is if you put money for saving for a future need, when you pay that future need, you should come to these balances and remove them. Like if I save it, I don't know, 500 for car maintenance, and then I had to spend for five um 450, then of course I need to take that from the bank account where I was putting my savings to pay for that. And then I have to come to the balances, wherever I have my balances, if it's in the papers, and update the number, because after I pay that maintenance, I only will have 50 remaining. And we need to have that out of our savings account and paid to the way that we pay. If we pay through a credit card, pay it back to the credit card, or if we pay directly to the maintenance provider, paid. But we also need to have these savings tracking updated. This is super important because then when we do check-ins about how our money is, where our money is, what's the purpose of our money, how much we have, and if we have this habit done in a good way, like in a complete way, if we have our balances tracking good and we paid, even if we um, maybe we got messed up a bit with the bank accounts or things like that, the most important is that wherever we have the tracking of our balances, of our savings, is updated, because then we can know that there is something that I didn't move or something like that. But if we don't organize when we use, so that's why it says here like the used savings, if we don't update wherever we have our records of the savings, if we don't update, then we are gonna be having in our tracking that we have savings that we don't really have, and then it's like if we don't remember what we do, it's a mess up. So be really mindful of every time that you spend something that is from savings, remember like to have this task or reminder or something, or just in the mind the logic of if I use money that was from the savings, I need to update the balances, like wherever I have those balances. Um, as I said, there are some few accounts that have pockets and then you just take out of the pocket and that's it. But we are not gonna open a saving account for every category. So in that case, it's better to have a tracking. Okay, I have for outfits this much, for maintenance this much. Every month I update this with whatever I'm putting extra. But every time that I spend, I also have to remove and update those balances, so that then when we do check-ins and things like that, the balances are kind of accurate. Um, and that would be a suggestion. If you don't want to track all these things, just remember to move it from the saving account so at least you are using the money in the proper way. Um, and at least that should be okay. Sounds good?
Yes.
Okay. And there are other things that we have to be mindful of, and are the vampires. So these are like expenses that we don't really need or not at that level, and that we can optimize and maybe use that resources either for our future or for other things. And how we can identify vampires by, if we didn't identify already with the budgeting, maybe it's a good idea that you take your statements from your credit card, your bank accounts of the last 3 months, and double check that all the expenses that were there make sense, that there is nothing weird. Some people sometimes subscribe to entertaining things and then they don't remember, and then they are just getting money out and not even using the services much. So double think those things. And then expenses we need to take care of. So if we are very impulsive, for instance, and we want to be more mindful of how we use our fun money or joy money, then maybe we can have a paper, and wherever we take the breakfast, for instance, or where we or when we go to the bed, or where we read, or something that is like easy to remember, and start checking how much I was budget for that, and then how much I spent today on that, and like how much is remaining. For instance, for the enjoyment, if you have, I don't know, like $30 per week for fun, then okay, if you grab a coffee, then you double check that. But if you don't really get over your budget, you don't really need to take care of these things. Just identify what things you really need to take care of and start taking care of. And also double check expenses that you could optimize, and you can use the resources page, or you can brainstorm as we have done in some sessions, like maybe there is a, I don't know, a birthday, and I want to give something nice, and maybe I can brainstorm of three different ways that I can still connect, be nice, give this special thing, but maybe I can find something that is in harmony with my budget and my money. Um, and in the digital version, there is a page for that. So if, for instance, you're working on the digital version, um, you can still do the paper for the care, but if you want to do it online, you can use this page that is called Caring. And then you can say, what are you taking care of? For instance, groceries and fun. And you can put like how much you have budget for that. And then every day you can say, okay, today I spend on this or that, and then how much is left. Like the main question is how much is left. So that you can be tracking the things and realize if what you budget is actually what you spend, or if you need to make decisions better, or maybe update your budget and optimize elsewhere if that's super realistic. Normally, we need to do this type of things like 3 months, and then you have a quick reminder of little things. But you have to know yourself, like if you need to take care of something, just take care of it. um, and so the tip is to create a task and make it visible, and the best way that works for you. Uh, and also don't make easy for these vampires to be on you. So for instance, if you're very impulsive buying something, maybe don't install the app. maybe you have to go to the computer or something like that. So if you make it more difficult for you, maybe you double think the things and don't do it. Also, don't take risks that, for instance, sometimes we kind of chase little rewards, and by doing that, we overcomplicate our own money system, and then we can maybe fall in traps very easy. So, for instance, the other day I saw a promo that came to me in one of my cards, and it said like, okay, you normally have mm, 3% cashback, but if you spend 300 in this time, then you are gonna have 6% this month instead of the normal thing. And like, it would be a lot of time consuming. Probably I would feel the pressure to spend. Yes, it's a little cashback, but then is it worth it? Like the whole mental thing, the whole administrative thing, and then, for instance, if I had like a regular thing that I paid in credit card around that money, that would be an easier way. But if I really have to kind of start thinking where to use, what to, then I can fall in a trap. So be really mindful of what you're chasing, and if it's worthy of your time and energy. So those are the key takeaways for today. What did you learn new? If something.
The whole vampires concept was a new thing for me. But I get it, and I was like, oh, it was like an aha kind of thing. So I like the phrasing of it and how you set it up because it made it easy to, it's like, okay, I recognize that I do have some of those things, but I would have never called them a vampire and sucking out my resources. So, but yeah, that was a new one for me.
Awesome. Okay, it was very nice to have you today. And I'm looking forward to see you next time if you can make it. And we will keep talking about this nice and important topic in our lives.
All right. Have a
Okay,
great
have a
weekend.
good one. You too.
Bye.
Bye.